All right, I'm going to be showing you the slab technique right now. The slab technique takes some extra materials besides what you already have in your basket that I went over. So you will need the slip, the pin tools, some modeling tools. You need your spray bottle, but you also need a rolling pin and you need slab sticks, okay? So to get started, I have a hunk of clay here. I highly recommend if you do anything with these kind of hard edges that you use a graph piece of paper. So I cut out a graph paper. This is a nameplate I want to make for my dog. I kind of did the design on there to make sure that everything is evenly spaced out. And now I have my hunk of clay. Now you gotta make sure that you use enough clay for whatever you wanna make, because if it's not enough clay, then you have to start over. If it's too much clay, you just cut it off and it's not a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna start by kind of flattening out my clay chunk. I know I need a long, thin piece, so I'm gonna start kind of smushing it already into the shape that I need. If you want something more square, then you would smush it more evenly, but I'm just using the palm of my hand to get started first. And now I'm gonna use my rolling pin. When you roll out your slab, I use my body weight, kind of go slow, and you gotta make sure that your rolling pin is on your slab sticks. If they're not on the slab sticks, if they're like this, it's not gonna do anything for you. The slab sticks are to make sure that when you roll your slab, it's nice and even. Sorry for the shaking of my iPad here. Okay, so I'm really using my body weight. I think I got it pretty even. Now let's check and make sure that my piece here fits. It seems to fit pretty well. I'm almost off the edge here. I'll move this up so you can see it. I'm almost off the edge here, but I do have enough space. All right, now I'm ready to cut my slab. I'm gonna scooch it over just a bit. I would trace it before you cut, because once you cut, you have to ball it up if you need to start over, if you made a bad cut. Tracing it. That bell is just in the video, so don't get up and go anywhere. All right, now that I've traced it, I can cut it. If you can use a pin tool that has a thicker handle for cutting a thick piece of clay, that's better. Now the slab sticks that I'm using have green on the edge. That tells you it's about a medium-sized slab stick. Some of the green has been washed off, but you can kind of see it's been labeled with green on the edges. That way you know they match. That's my medium size. Okay, now I've got a nice even slab. Now, to add to the slab, I want to put the letters of my dog's name. I do have some cookie cutter letters you can use. If you want to be more creative and do your own lettering, you can draw out your own lettering. You don't need the slab stick for adding to the slab. Now your clay is pretty thick, so we can look at this one for example. See, it's not too thick, the part that you're adding on. Okay, so now I'm not using the slab sticks, and I'm gonna try to just roll out a thinner chunk of clay. And from here, I'm just gonna draw out my lettering. So I already kind of drew it out here on the paper, just to give me an idea of size. Doesn't have to be exact. So I'm gonna draw it first. If you don't like what you draw, you can use the slip and just kind of rub it out. If you cut too hard into the clay, then you have to start over. So it's always better to just try to lightly draw it out with the tip of the pin tool. Okay, so I've got my letter B, I'm happy with it. Now I can carefully cut it out. Take the slip, smooth those edges. To cut out the hole is a little bit harder, but you can do it. Go in there, clean the tip of your pin tool as you're doing it, and poke it out. slip is your friend. Don't get too crazy with the slip, but you can definitely use it often to smooth edges. You want those edges to be nice and smooth. Okay. Poke that out. Now I have my main slab. I need to smooth these edges also. So I'm just taking the slip, getting rid of like the kind of the rough edges. Now I can't just stick this on. I have to slip and score it on. So I'm getting an idea of where it goes. I put it here. I can kind of see the outline of where I'm going to put it. I'm going to score there. You can always smooth out the lines that show after you stick it on. So don't worry about being too precise. Okay, now I'm using a little bit of slip. I'm gonna put it on there. Use that slip to smooth it out. And then I know I already showed you in the other video to take the edge here of your modeling tool and try to smush on that piece so it's really stuck on there. All right. You'll have to do a little practice on this, but I'm sure you will get it. The next technique I wanted to show you, we'll see how fast we can do this, is just rolling a coil. You want to start with a ball of clay about the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bit bigger. Roll slowly in your hand first. When it gets a little bit like it's hanging out of the bottom of your hand, then you can start rolling on your table. There's a few ways to do it. Some people use the palm of their hand, some people use just their fingers, but the point is that you're trying to pull the clay to make your coil longer. Okay, so I'm not trying to smush my fingers too hard into the clay, because then you get like a flat tire. It gets flat on one side. Full rotations. I'd say about the thickness of your pen tool is good, or like a number 2 pencil. Of course you can go a little thinner or a little thicker. Okay, from here, if you want to make something like this is a slab at the bottom that you would attach it to. You can also coil it this way to make your bottom and build up. Okay, you gotta use, now this isn't gonna stick well, you gotta use a lot of slip, right, to make it stick. If the clay is starting to dry a little bit, you do need to score and slip. It's not gonna attach unless your clay is really like plastic or fresh out of the bag, or you have to slip and score. So you can go make a base that way, or you can just do a base like a slab, like I just showed you, only cut a circle and build up that way. I'll show you in another video how to smooth out those coils. All right, thanks for listening.